Hi everyone, welcome to My Inner Temple. My name is Tiffany, Reiki Master and Spiritual Healer. As many of you know, in my community, I have been a big supporter of a healing modality called shadow work. And I've been running a lot of workshops, seeing private clients in regards to this healing modality. So what does shadow work covers? When we think of energy healing or Reiki, we know that when we go to a Reiki session, it covers energy healing, it covers the chakras, sometimes we might use crystals, and we utilize the universal life force energy for healing purposes. But what about shadow work? We understand what shadow work is about. If you don't, please feel free to check out some of my previous videos on shadow work to give you a better understanding of what it is about. But let's say if you were to come to one of my workshops, what would you expect? What exactly does shadow work entails? Currently, in my modality model, I separated shadow work into 4 different areas or 4 different themes. Number 1, shadow work, inner child connection. The first area of shadow work is to connect with our inner child. A lot of times when we grow up, we think that the child within us has disappeared, when in fact, they never left us. What happens when we are triggered or when we don't get our emotional needs? It is a sign for the inner child within to pay attention to it, to understand where some of these wounds are coming from. Understanding, connecting, integrating, and healing with our inner child provide the key to our healing, the key to our life purpose. We can find so many answers by connecting with our inner child. The second area of shadow work is called Inception. Inception is understanding our emotions, validate our emotions. How do we understand our emotional needs? How do we validate our feelings and as a result understand how to validate other people's feelings? Our feelings is our internal GPS. It allows us to understand what is in alignment to us and what is not. When we feel resistant, it is a signal from your higher self to let you know that there is something that is not quite aligned with who you are meant to be. And so using our emotions and feelings, we can use them to heal and empower ourselves so that we can embody our higher self or our oversoul. The third area of shadow work, which I called integration, is to integrate our suppressed selves. Now, this can come in terms of social conditioning, parental conditioning, or cultural conditioning. A lot of us put forth this mask when we are out in society. We learn to suppress certain aspects of us as a child as a result of rather it was not accepted, or we were told no, that is not a good trait to have, or don't be overly sensitive. Sometimes people might not mean it. I'm sure all of us has done it. We have suppressed people one way or another. But we can change that. We can heal that with shadow work. And it also doesn't have to do with only negative aspects. A lot of times when we think of, oh, suppressed aspect, maybe it's my suppressed anger or rage towards a certain situation. But on the other side of it is also unlocking the gold in the shadow, which is your positive attributes. For example, looking up to someone, have you ever put someone on a pedestal or think that they are better than you in some ways? This is part of yourself suppressing positive aspects within yourself and projecting that onto that person. We can change that and we can shift that. We can unlock your positive attributes and we can also embrace some of what we call the negative attributes as well. In truth, there's no good or bad in the universe. We are here as spiritual beings experiencing this dimension as a physical entity. And so understanding our different aspects, understanding the different streams of our consciousness, of our beings, allow us to integrate as a whole being, allow us to embrace who we are. This is how we build self-confidence, self-love, and self-esteem. The fourth area of shadow work is called completion. And in completion, I share techniques about how to transcend our ego. And when I say the word transcend, doesn't necessarily mean that, hey, yo, bye, I'm gonna ascend now, I'm just gonna leave you in the bottom of the pit. That's not quite it. What happens with a lot of us is we do so much work on ourselves spiritually or personal development, and then we hit this plateau. We kind of seem like we hit this glass ceiling. What really is happening is we have either rejected our ego or abandoned our human ego. And so that ego acts as an anchor, almost keeping you down at a certain level until the next stage of your evolution. So what we need to do is to pick up that human ego, embrace it, work with it, integrate with it, transform and shift it into the vibration that serves our highest good. So in this modality, we learn about the human ego. And by understanding and learning the human ego, we can now learn to work with this human ego. And the human ego is really not an enemy. The human ego is what I look at as the unblossomed state of our higher self. When it is blossomed, when it is integrated within us, this is when we step into our master frequency. We understand the aspects of our being as a big picture without abandoning any aspects within us. These are the 4 areas of shadow work that I work with, that I teach, and I share my knowledge, techniques, and practices with. If you find this information helpful, please like, comment, or share this video. I have many workshops that regularly comes up, has to do with shadow work. Alternatively, you can book a private session with me where we can get to work on one-on-one in a more private and comprehensive way to help you unlock the inner light within you. Thank you very much for joining me today. Namaste.